For most of the 20th century, early adulthood was defined by rapid role transitions. The social script required immediate entry into marriage and parenthood. In 1960, 62% of 18 to 34-year-olds lived with a spouse, and only 20% with parents. By 2014, this inverted. 32.1% lived with parents, surpassing those with spouses. Trend lines since 1880 prove this 2014 crossover is an unprecedented departure. Several factors drive this change, including extended tertiary education, increasing student debt, and delayed financial independence. Developmental psychologist Jeffrey Arnott classifies this 18 to 29-year window as a specific stage called emerging adulthood. The shift in household data tracks with the establishment of a distinct sociological and demographic category in the human life course. Arnott identifies 5 characteristics separating emerging adulthood from later life: identity exploration, instability, self-focus, feeling in between, and possibilities. Exploration and instability drive frequent changes in jobs and relationships. Consequently, they feel self-focused and in between, past childhood dependence but without permanent adult roles. The final pillar is possibilities. This is an age of high optimism, where long-term life directions remain open and various futures are still potentially achievable. This stage occurs primarily within developed countries, specifically those in the OECD, where economic structures allow for a delayed entry into full-time work. These knowledge-based economies require years of post-secondary education and specialized skill acquisition. This forces a delay in the labor force integration of young people. In contrast, developing nations often maintain shorter educational timelines and more traditional, immediate transitions into adult roles. Socioeconomic status also creates variance within developed nations. The 2012 Clark University poll shows that emerging adulthood is not a uniform experience. Those from lower socioeconomic backgrounds report higher levels of depression and financial stress, often struggling to find the support needed for the very education this stage requires. Emerging adulthood is a structural requirement of modern economies, but the mental health of participants is often taxed by the financial instability it creates. By the early 20s, the human body reaches its physiological peak. Muscle strength, sensory abilities, and cardiac functioning are all operating at maximum capacity. Yet this cohort experiences a mortality paradox. Despite peak physical health, they face the highest statistical risk for violent death and non-intentional injury. This chart shows that while physical maturity remains high, the mortality spike for those aged 18 to 25 is driven by accidents and binge drinking. External social factors also impact health. The minority stress model explains how unaccepting environments contribute to poor mental health outcomes. Research by Borgona et al. Found that transgender and gender nonconforming emerging adults experience significantly higher rates of anxiety and depression compared to their cisgender peers. As the brain continues to mature during this high-risk period, individuals begin moving past the abstract thinking of adolescence. This transition leads to dialectical thought. Instead of viewing the world in black and white dichotomies, adults learn to synthesize opposing viewpoints and make choices based on practical realities. Personality traits also shift. The 5-factor model tracks changes across openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. Longitudinal studies show that as adults age, neuroticism and openness typically decrease. Conversely, conscientiousness increases, correlating with better health outcomes, career success, and stability. While the body peaks early, the brain undergoes a complex maturation process to achieve emotional regulation and realistic reasoning. The instability of these years dictates how emerging adults form romantic connections. Adult relationship mechanics can be mapped using Bartholomew's matrix, which plots attachment-related avoidance against attachment-related anxiety. This identifies 4 primary attachment styles: secure, dismissing, preoccupied, and fearful avoidant. Emerging adults report higher levels of attachment-related anxiety than older cohorts, often worrying about the stability of their partner's affection. Sternberg's triarchic theory of love analyzes these connections through 3 components: passion, intimacy, and commitment. Consummate love requires all 3. However, many modern relationships lack one or more components, leading to different relational outcomes. Casual sexual encounters, or hooking up, have become a common relational script for this age group. This script isolates passion. By focusing on physical attraction alone, it removes the intimacy and commitment found in more traditional dating models. For those seeking longer-term bonds, cohabitation has largely replaced early marriage as the primary living arrangement. Economic instability often makes cohabitation a practical proxy for companionate love, allowing couples to share resources before committing to a legal marriage. Digital dating apps have solved issues of physical proximity, but have introduced new risks to the formation of intimacy. Deceptive profiles and catfishing can cause significant emotional distress. The case of university athlete Manti Te'o serves as a notable example of online identity deception. The shift toward cohabitation and casual dating is a structural recalibration of human attachment, necessitated by a period of extreme personal flux. The transition to adulthood is no longer defined by external rites of passage. Symbols like homeownership and marriage have been superseded by internal milestones. Modern markers of adulthood are now categorized by the achievement of financial independence and the acceptance of personal responsibility. High student debt, the rise in cohabitation, and living with parents are all connected evidence of an extended period of development. The cognitive maturation into postformal thought and the increase in conscientiousness provide the tools necessary to navigate this prolonged instability. Ultimately, the emerging adulthood stage is a cognitive and structural adaptation to the requirements of the 21st century economy.